Whether you like it or not, this building here, after 12 years as the Alley, is about to be another hotel in downtown Charleston. That's right. This is going to be a 175-room, low-line hotel, which means the landscape of Charleston is drastically changing. Now, we're going to talk about a bunch of major projects that are going on in Charleston that are going to change the way that we live, work, and play in the future. And stick around till the end, because that project is the reason that this is called the Low Line. Now, we're talking about these projects. I want to start big. And when I mean big, I mean $2 billion big. And that is going to be the Magnolia project, taking place on the Magnolia track, just north of the peninsula in the Neck. Now, this track, back in 1994, was deemed a Superfund as one of the most contaminated tracks in the entire country. You see, previously, it was the home to Koppers fertilizer and lumber treatment plants. So there's nothing they could do with this land. And it wasn't until 2023, 21 years after cleanup had begun, the EPA and the Army Corps of Engineers deemed this land suitable for vertical elevation. So what does $2 billion build here in Charleston? Well, on these about 150 buildable acres, they're going to start by elevating the waterfront 6 feet. Now, this is going to take months of trucks in and out with fill dirt. Then they're going to build 4,000 new housing units. There's going to be 3 to 4 hotels with upwards of 1,000 hotel rooms, 1 million square feet of office space, and 200,000 square feet of retail space. And they're even going to set aside about 24 to 25 acres or more of green space. So what's this going to do to Charleston? Well, personally, I think it's going to be great because it's going to alleviate some people out of downtown with housing and dining and shopping options. But right there, it is the neck of the peninsula, so it's already a little constricted with traffic. And they said it could add 10,000 new residents just right there. It's not going to do any favors for the traffic, but it is going to add extra housing options to this ever-growing city, which is something that we do drastically need. Our next project is actually 2 projects being developed next to each other, side by side, and work together. And it's the Navy Yard and Battery Park in North Charleston, right outside of Park Circle. Now, a little history on this area is they're right on the Cooper River, and it's the old Navy base. See, back in the 80s, there were more submarines, destroyers, and cruisers at this base than anywhere else in the world. And it reached its peak with about 37,000 employees in 1982. And then in the 90s, it was shut down. Now, over the last 20 years, there's been many iterations of what this property is going to or could become, and they've all really fallen through until recently, where there is a new plan that looks like it's moving forward. So what is this going to entail? Well, there's about 135 acres, which is going to see another 4,000 housing units, in addition to some workforce housing, offices, retail, hotels, anything you can imagine, including 25 acres that are going to be set aside for green space. Now, when it comes to the commercial and the residential square footage, it's going to be a total of about 3.5 million square feet. Now, this adds to the ever popular and growing Park Circle area, which has already seen major businesses like Holy City Brewing and Firefly Distillery move into the area. So keep an eye on this for the next 25 years. I think they said it's going to take to build this whole thing completely out to be one of the major hotspots to live in the greater Charleston area. Now, coming back onto the Charleston Peninsula, we're going to talk about Union Pier, which I would say is probably one of the most hotly debated projects in recent history in Charleston. And ever since Charleston announced that they were going to eliminate the cruise port and their contract with Carnival and its ship, the Sunshine, there have been meetings and more meetings and plans and more plans and revisions and more revisions to what they're going to do with this space, until finally they decided to just table the whole thing for a brief period of time. And then shortly after, it was actually announced that the land was being sold to local billionaire, businessman, and philanthropist Ben Navarro. Now, with that, plans for what he plans on doing with the property have not been laid out yet. But I will say that Mayor Cogswell and the city have been pretty adamant on what they want to be done with that land as opposed to the previous projects. And some of these things are, of course, getting rid of the cruise terminal and not bringing it back, but also adding more public access to the waterfront, more green space, and a lower height and lower density of housing and structures that fits more along the line of the aesthetic of historic Charleston. They also said they wanted something called meaningful affordable housing, which I'm curious as to what the definition is on this. If you know, let us know down in the comments, and what affordable housing on the peninsula would actually look like. One of the biggest recent business moves that we've seen in the area has been an announcement in 2021 by Roper St. Francis, one of the main hospitals in the medical district downtown. They announced that they were leaving the Charleston Peninsula. Now, they're going to be building their main hospital on a brand new campus on 27 acres right near the intersection of 26 and 526. This does a few things. This makes access to a main hospital a lot more feasible for the entire greater Charleston area without having to fight traffic come directly into downtown. So you've got for access to Berkeley and Dorchester counties, not just Charleston County. Now, they're also expanding their footprint. They're doubling the size of their Berkeley County right near Cane Bay. They're adding 50 more beds, and they're doing a 40,000 square foot ambulatory hub in Somerville as well. But that also brings us back to downtown, is what is going to happen with their campus and the buildings down there. Personally, I could see MUSC or maybe the VA taking over a couple, but probably not all of them. What I would love to see, and if you're watching this, if you have any pool, please take this into consideration, more green space and also more walkability of stores, shops, and restaurants for the family and friends of those that are admitted into the hospitals, so that they have more right there that they can walk to, maybe even some affordable hotel options, strictly limited to those that are staying at the hospital. And now we have the project that I am personally most excited about, and one that could actually change the way everyone on the peninsula lives. And that is the Lowline Park project. Now, if you remember Lowline from previously before, that's right, that's how that hotel is getting its name. See, the Lowline Park is going to be a 40-acre, 1.7-mile park straight down the spine of the peninsula. It's going to be the second largest park in the city of Charleston on the peninsula, next to the 60 acres that is Hampton Park. Now, these 1.7 miles of parks is going to be straight down the middle on the abandoned railway, and it's going to be separated into three main categories or areas. There's the Parks District, which is going to be parks and recreation and green space. The Urban Core, which is going to change the way that people live and work. And there's also the North Central Corridor, which is going to have pathways and bike trails. Now, the great thing about this is it's going to connect, like I said, the upper neighborhoods of the peninsula, like Hampton Park, Wagner Terrace, and North Central, to the lower areas of the peninsula, like the Elliottboro, Greensboro, and south of Broad neighborhoods. This could drastically change everything, and it's not adding a ton of housing, it's just adding connectivity to the peninsula, which is exactly what this area needs. So let me know, which projects are you most excited about down in the comments, or more likely, which ones are you most concerned about on the changing landscape of Charleston? Please let us know. And as always, if you're looking to make a move in the next 3 days to 3 years to the Charleston area, my name is Bill. I'm your local Charleston realtor. I'd love to be your realtor of choice, and I'll see you on one of these videos right here.
Bye.